Welcome back to the Right Wave Audio community. My name is John, and for this video, we're going to talk about cables that we are running in-wall and outdoor for our theater systems, both indoors and out. We're getting ready for several applications. First, we have our outdoor speakers, the Polk Atrium 8 SDI speakers, and these are going to be outdoors, and the wire has to then come indoors and get to the amplifiers, etc. We also have another application where we want to wire up our ceiling speakers for getting ready for our Atmos on our long quest to get there. We're finding that that's just not something that happens overnight. You've really got to plan for the Atmos in ceiling speakers. And the third application is getting the signals to our subwoofers, and ultimately two amplifiers are going to drive our in-walls. Our processor connections between what eventually will be our main processor, which will have balance connections, to the amplifiers that will drive them. And we're thinking that we're going to put some of the amplifiers in the back of the room, and we'll run long balance links so that our speaker wires will be eventually shorter. So that's the goal there. So what we're using for the speaker wires for each of these applications, we've got different wires for each application. So for the outdoor speakers, if you remember from the prior videos, these have 4 connections on it. Now we'll probably use 2, but we thought, well, why don't we run, if we ever want to run these mono, why don't we run 4 conductors? And for that, we selected the Voltive 12-4 speaker cable. That is 12 gauge, 4 conductor. Now we decided on 12 gauge because we knew that 12 gauge would fit into the connectors here. So that's one thing to be mindful of. You know, you could go with thicker gauge wire like 10 gauge, but if they're not going to fit your speaker terminals, that may not be money well spent. Of course, there's other tricks. You can take off some of the strands of the wire and make it fit. But we'd like to first make sure that the speaker terminals will take the gauge wire that we're sending it to. And this is the thickest gauge that these speakers will accommodate, which is the 12 gauge. The other thing we wanted to do is make sure that this could be run both in-wire and in-wall as well as outdoor. So for this Voltive speaker cable comes rated as CL3, United Laboratories rated CL3, which means it will be fire rated appropriately. It can be direct buried, and it can take signals up to 300 volts, although we really don't need that much capability for this. We got a 100-foot spool of this from Amazon that was about $109.99. So we've got that spool, and it has its 4 conductors here, and that's what we're going to use for the outdoor speakers. Now for the ceiling speakers for our Atmos, now these speakers that we got for that, which are the Polk Audio 900 LS speakers, and those only have 2 speaker terminals. They will take up to 12 gauge wire. So instead of running 12-4, in this case, we're going to run 12-2 because you can't, it's not like you can wire those directly. And if we had 4 conductors, we would probably twist the two of the conductors together to make a thicker wire, but that wouldn't fit inside the speaker terminals. So we just went with a 2 conductor. And for that, we sourced Monoprice cable, which is their 103-844 12-2 cable. And these are UL CL2 rated for in-wall use. Now, this has the appropriate fire rating, but doesn't have the outdoor direct burial rating that we are using for the outdoor speakers. And this spool is a 250-foot spool. That was $108.49. So we wanted to make sure we could do all the runs for that and have some left over if we ever wanted to go some extra speakers there. The final wire that we purchased is not speaker wire, but it's balance cable. And this is a microphone rated, this is a microphone cable. It's considered 2-conductor, but you also get with it a shield. And that is what you need. You need that shield there to do a true balance cable. This is listed. We couldn't find what we were looking for on Amazon. We wanted to make sure, because we're running these in wall, we wanted to make sure it had fire rating. This is a CM rated cable, and we got it from Sweetwater Sound. And this is their Proco Acculink AC1 MIC2.K cable. And this is a 22 gauge cable. So this is low, since it's a low voltage signal, we didn't need the thicker gauge. What you'll find is balanced cable runs usually between 21 and 24 gauge cable. So 22 is among the thicker of balanced cable that you'll find. But particularly we got this because it has the CM rating. Now, unlike the CL3, which is rated for 300 volts, or the CL2 that's rated for 150 volts, this is designed as a multi-purpose communications cable. So there isn't a voltage rating associated with CM rated cable, but it gives you the fire rating for in-wall usage. So that was important, and it was very difficult to find fire ratings on mic cable, believe it or not. This one is fire rated. So we got this, a 500 foot spool of this for $99.99 from Sweetwater Sound. And I've got to say, we're not affiliated with Sweetwater in any way, but the customer service there was excellent. Now, this was a little back ordered. After placing the order online, I got a phone call, I think within a day. They said this was back ordered. They gave me some options there. They did say that they did expect it in a couple days. Sure enough, it did. They called me again. They said, yes, we've got it. It's shipping. And I had this, within a week in-house. And then they called up to follow up again to make sure that I liked what I received. To me, that's pretty good customer service. So although we're not affiliated with them, I did want to give a praise to them for caring about the customer and making sure that what I got was what I needed. Now, you might be asking, why are we getting 500 feet of this? So if we decide to have some of our amplifiers on the other side of the room for the Atmos, we're going to have to run this the full length of the room, which is 27 feet. So that could be 27 times the 4 Atmos speakers, or maybe 6 or 8 in the future. We also need to run this to our subwoofers. Now, one of them is fairly close to the processor. We'd like to run 2 or 3 links of this to each subwoofer. Why 2 or 3? Well, the subwoofers that we have accept both a line input as well as an LFE output source on this. So we could run 2 links, so we could always have it wired, and then just using the switch, we could switch between LFE and line. That's one way we could handle it. And then we could have a third one of these. Well, we don't really need balanced, but that could be for the trigger. And we might as well, this is nice thin gauge wire. We could use that for the trigger. But if we're going back to that amplifier there, we will need about 4 links of this. At least initially, we might run some extra links there. So this is why we got 500 feet. And at $100 for the spool, that wasn't too bad. So that concludes this. I just wanted to point out the importance of fire rating when you're running this in-wall. Most people don't think about the safety aspects, because if you use a standard cable, the fumes when these cables burn can be harmful to people's health. So paying attention to the fire ratings could be important for the safety of yourself and your family. And with all this said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to this RipeWave audio community, and be sure to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when the next video is posted. Until then, keep evolving your audio experience.